everyone. In the next session of Transport Policy and Strategic Planning, today we will try to understand that how we can apply the concept of transportation policy and planning to any indicator, such as like if you would like to apply the same concept to like road, rail, maritime, airport, or any specific integrated urban transportation. So what kind of system we actually require? So like it is all about it, what we require and what is its existing situation, okay, as well as how we can improve it, and then what is our vision or the targets we want to achieve. Okay, so now just to give you enlighten you that what how we can apply the transportation policy and planning to every individual subsector of the transportation. Coming towards road transport, as you can see here, our first point should be the priority for passenger who are using the road transportation. They should focus that how they can enhance the usage or prioritize or improve the reliability. The first point should be reliability and how we can access to the to like those areas which have the weak connection with the different cities. The first point should be to improve accessibility as well as the connectivity. The second point in terms of that how we can improve the freight reduction. So like we would like to divert the freight from road and shifted it to the rail as well as to the maritime and the pipeline. But again, we have to see it to the feasibility as well as that is it practically possible or not. So like we should have that the select or target such type of a transportation sector uh, where we have which is kind of a more economical, and so the rail, a pipeline and maritime are considered one of the most economical means of transportation uh, to uh, to like carry the long or the freight logistic containers. Okay. The third point is about that how we can the extension of the rural roads. So the rural road will remain vital for providing the accessibility as well as the connectivity to all the public focuses which will be placed in the provision of the rural transportation, such as that how we can aid or provide such type of a road infrastructure which could be used in each and every type of a weather. Okay, and then the next point that how we can design and support such type of a road network which actually focusing on the international demand as well as the freight and the logistic container. Its best example is China Pakistan economic corridor as well as the Belt Road Initiative, because whenever you are dealing with the international freight, so you have to follow the standard while designing your road as well as your overhead bridges or your infrastructure where the international carrying capacity or the international regulation of those movements should be possible within your constructed infrastructure. Next part is about that how we can connect the urban roads connectivity with the inter as well as the urban areas, and how we can increase the urban road which will offer the efficient connection between different rural as well as the urban area for the integration purposes. Okay, and then we have the road safety system. So the safety and reliability should be the core perspective while designing any type of a transportation system, because we can attract the passenger on the basis of the if our system is safe and Do we have the safety regulations or safety management? Is it possible if we are regulating the speed? Uh, are we following the international standard while the in terms of the vehicle as well as the road regulation, and what kind of a user as well as the accident and incident management system we do have in our planning while designing any kind of a roads. Okay. And the important point is about the intelligent transportation system, that is it possible to provide and control and manage the transportation networking through intelligent transportation system so that we can detect, regulate speed, manage all the operations while using the smart technology system. And a very important point which should be considered by all the student and like researcher, that we should support the evidence-based decision. Okay, so whenever we are trying to deal with uncertain or unplanned situation, for example in terms of accident or incident, so according to evidence we should decide it. Okay, so it shouldn't be like that. If we have the kind of a fixed kind of a protocol that we will only follow those conditions, because if you are opening your corridors for the international movement, international vehicle traffic regulation, so we have to act and react according to the international standards. So the second part is about the rail transportation. So how we can uh, apply the concept of policy and planning within the railway. The first point, that we should ensure in any country that any transportation should be commercially viable. What is commercially viability? That should not be the kind of the state should not pay any debt or any kind of a overhead expenses to regulate or operate any kind of a transportation mode or means. Because if any mode is not financially and commercially viable, so then we have to see that where we are lacking and how we can increase our revenue. First point. Second point is we should define the role of the transportation, that how we can increase it up to the appropriate level so that we can earn money from that. Because railway infrastructure will remain in the public sector as well as the private sector participation in terms of operation and management should also be encouraged. Uh, and then we have to see that how we can increase the accessibility and connectivity within the cities, as well as how we can connect different cities or like major urban center through rail network. As I already mentioned, rail transport is considered one of the most economical transportation, but only we have the highest or higher or larger the regulation as well as the handling cost. Okay. The rest in terms of per capita passenger as well as in terms of the carrying of a single seat to the long distances, rail transportation is considered the most economical means of transport. As we already mentioned in the road transportation, that our policy should be formulated in the way that how we can shift the road network to the railways. Okay, because railway have the highest and large capacity as compared to road, and then the same railway should be connected with the maritime or the waterways. Okay, because railways and maritime is considered the most economical means of the freight logistic container while carrying them over the long haul distances. And then we have to see that how we can improve the capacity of the railways. So for example, according to the mainline upgradation, which is the transportation project under China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. So we have to see that are we able to enhance the capacity within the available infrastructure, or do we need to build some extra infrastructure to reduce the traveling time between different cities. Okay, and then we have to see that is it possible if we can connect and provide the direct connections and connectivity while to connect your major urban areas where we have the highest freight demand. For example, if the same area is connected with any port or hinterland or the dry ports. Okay, and then we should prioritize the intermodality. So we have two different kind of a concept. One is multimodality and the another one is the intermodality. So whenever we are trying to understand the concept of intermodality, so that means that how we can reduce expenses and how we can save environment and freely we can transport any freight or any bulk kind of a quantity over a large distance while reducing its operation cost. So for example, if we can provide any service which connect road with railways as well as with the waterways or the airways. So that is basically the concept of intermodality. Okay. And then we have to see that how the sustainable asset management could be introduced within railways for the purpose of the safe and viable rolling stock operations. And rail safety should be actively promoted because whenever there is a derailment in the railway sector, so Pakistan is the kind of a very practical example to understand the effect of the derailment is in Pakistan in the last 20 to 30 year over 1,000 plus accident have happened, and which is again increasing because of the that we usually ignore those safety parameters. The next part is about the different technologies adoption, that how we can provide the ease to the freight as well as to the passenger. And we have, of course, through railway, we can protect our environment and noises as well as we can provide the economical means of transportation as well. And the fare should be reflected according to the willingness of the people. So, for example, we should target at such kind of a fare which is a bit less expensive as compared to other private operators. Okay. The third part is about the air transportation. So air transport is should be accordance with the open skies policies, which should be reciprocal to that how it could stimulate or stimulate the new entrances or establish new route so that we can increase the number of flights as well as we can attract more passenger. Okay, so that should be its number one uh, policy and planning. The second should be that how we can adopt the international standard and how we can ensure the long distance connectivity so that we can attract the international passenger as well. The third point is about the domestic route, while mainly focusing on the socio-economic route. So we should target it such kind of a route from where we can stabilize our economy and we can provide the direct services within the country to the attraction places of any passenger. Of course, level playing field should be provided to all the domestic as well as to the international airlines operator if anyone would like to operate within any country. So that should be the part of a policy, because if there is a single player in the market, if for example if there is no place for competition, so due to that single player, we might have a lot of issues which could be very hard to recover if there is a no competition within the same transportation sector. Okay. And then we have to see that how we can increase the capacity as well as the level of services of any airport according to international standard. If it's a primary airport, if it's a domestic, if it's a international. So we have to define these three different categories. If it's a primary as well as the domestic, so if it's the capacity limit, we usually required a bit low. But if it's the international flights are operating or outboard the flights are going in coming to like that specific airport, so that should be according to the international standards. And they it should be connected with the open sky control system, where we should ensure the travel safety. We should be able to monitor the movement of every commercial as well as the passenger flight. Okay, and the navigation system should be according to the standards. So maritime sector should be granted to become one of the major engine of the growth through its support as well as the facilitation. It should provide the facilitation to all the international trade. So like number first, we should have the connectivity through different ports, which should connect different countries and also provide the way and mean of integration to access to the global supply chain is which could support the regional transit trade. Okay, so maritime plays a very important role. So for example, in terms of Pakistan, Karachi and Port Qasim should serve as the primary international port for all type of commodities such as shipment, freight, etc. While Gwadar port should balance the national trade opportunities within the region. Okay, and effective and efficient infrastructure for the operational capacity, which could have the capacity to carry the freight volume and potential of passenger, which is requirement of any specific area. So national and all those ports should be developed while to consider with the future capacity. Also, it should have the capacity that how the planning will be established to support different ports through kind of efficiency, effectivity, and how we can integrate different ships and terminal as well as the connectivity of road, rail, and pipeline should be integrated with each other. So like intermodality or multimodality concept. So third party shipping should also be encouraged and should be provided. So coastal port harbor facility should also be promoted, which should include not only freight but as well as the passenger and shipping services as well. And of course, we should act according to the evidence-based decision should be made in terms of accident or incident. The fifth part is about the pipeline. So is maybe you all are aware that pipeline is considered or only used for the fuel supply or for any kind of a gas or like bulk liquid kind or such type of a only liquid which we cannot transport through road or railways. Okay, so the oil and bulk liquid will be principally should be transported through the pipelines, and other bulk and dry commodities will be considered and should be carried through different pipelines. So you can see here that the different ports, terminals, refinery, storage ports, airport, as well as the industrial zone. So we should establish the connection, which is the requirement of any specific industry or area. Okay. Uh, there should always be the capacity check mechanism that how we can increase or how we can check capacity of any pipeline. Acoustic signal system should be installed if, for example, there is a blockage or any kind of a crack within the system, so that we can, through the application of appropriate technologies, so that problem should be resolved, and that system should be according to the environmental standard, which will ensure the safety, security, technical, as well as the environmental standard. And of course, in most of the underdeveloping country where they need always fund to build and operate any kind of a transportation project, so we cannot ignore the public-private partnership. So P3 model should always be there, and and through our policy and planning, we should encourage that model. The second last part is about the urban transport. So urban transport should also be considered, is the source of single integrated transportation system through which we can balance in according to the hierarchy, while connecting and including public transport as well as the non-motorized transportation as well. So individual urban transport master plan will be developed for all major cities in accordance to the transit oriented design, TOD concept. Okay. In my previous lecture, I already mentioned TOD concept, so you can get back to the previous lecture. But of course, the time frame of that specific TOD should be from 10 to 20 years at least. Okay. Public transport should be implemented, or through public transport, we should increase the accessibility of all those metropolitan urban area, while to consider and connect those metropolitan urban as well as the rural area through different kind of a mass transit system, bus rapid transit, commuter rail, and so on. And of course, we should not ignore the walking and cycling facility that should be implemented within designing of any specific transportation model. And it's very important that it should be based on ITP model, integrated transportation planning model, through which we can utilize different intelligent transportation as well as different information system should be available for the freight as well as for the transportation movement. Okay. The aspiration of attraction, that how we can reduce the personal car, while how we can encourage the people to use the public transportation, that should be the part of your transport policy and planning. And parking policy should always be established if we are planning for any major or any metropolitan or any mega city. Okay. And the air quality monitor should be system should be installed, because most of the countries around the world are now facing the smoke, as well as the pollution issues are actually increasing, which actually increase a lot of diseases, such as through so many particulate matter. If its level is over 10, so we might have the saturation issues or even breathing issues, and that is actually increasing with the emission. And freight route should be kind of a defined, which could pass through different modes or nodes of that specific connectivity. Multimodality or multimodal logistic will be strengthened to enhance the current as well as the prospective domestic of the international supply chain. Okay, so that should play its part, that how it can promote the domestic distribution at the national level as well as the regional transit mode as well. The intermodality integration via road, rail, marine, inland, and the air aviation should be part of the transport policy. All those freight station which connect with the urban network to the urban areas as well as to the any metropolitan as well as to the any mega city. And multimodal logistic, it should actually aid it or promote a shift through which we can increase the value added logistic services from road to different alternative of all those modes. Okay, the logistics sector should be established as a commercially viable industry that should provide the efficient, effective, and safe transportation. Okay, in terms to compliance to the national as well as the international regulation. Enhancement of the service quality, reliability, and cost effectiveness should be ensured. Okay, and knowledge and skill base of multi-logistic container practices should be adopted according to the international best practices. Thank you very much. This was all about that how we can apply the transport policy and planning to any subsector of transportation.